I want to do something a little bit different today. So last week I got the opportunity to play a little bit of Orisa. Now I'm super washed at the game and I'm not a particularly good Orisa. However, I managed to put up some pretty impressive stat numbers in a lot of lost games. It was definitely funny to look at the stat line in 4 or 5 losses in a row on stream and see myself absolutely obliterating the enemy tank line when it came to stats. Deaths were lower, damage was higher, eliminations were higher, generally just always diffing the enemy tank and yet somehow losing. Now, we can play a little bit on bad matchmaking or maybe a little bit unlucky, but I decided to actually do a little bit more research into that. And I came across some pretty interesting conclusions because not a few days afterwards, I decided to play just one tank game on Orisa and just see what happened, and I lost again. And once again, my stats were just phenomenal. What's going on? They were so much better. I think I ended up with this game with like 51 kills and I think 7 deaths, something like that. Enemy Orisa was on like 32 LMs and 16 deaths, I think, something crazy like that. But long story short, obviously maybe just a little bit of bad luck that happens. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to look a little bit closer at the fights that we actually lost in this match. And I wanted to find out, was there anything that I could have done better? Now, obviously, I knew the answer to that. Yes, obviously. But more than that, I wanted to look at why we actually lost the map. Why did we lose the game? And see if I had anything to do with that. And it turns out it did. And I think this is a very important thing to remember. You see, there's a lot of ways to play the game on DPS support and tank that can really pump up your stat numbers. If you're DPS, you can generally play safe, farm the enemy tank line, and when your team wins a fight, if you tag each and every one of the targets on the enemy team, you get your juicy 5 LMs, you get your high damage number from shooting the enemy tank line, and because you were playing safer, you also didn't die. Tank line, I can do the same. I can disengage fights that I feel like are lost and prevent an avoidable death. I can make sure that I'm doing a lot of damage onto the enemy tank line to pump up my stats. And there's a lot of great things about stats, like high damage, low deaths, high LMs is generally a good thing to do, but it doesn't always tell the full story. So normally when I self-out review myself, I don't focus on lost fights. I'm looking at general overarching things that I need to practice, whether it's a won or a lost fight. I'll see patterns that I need to get better at. But I wanted to look at the lost fights because, again, like I said, I want to find out why we actually lost the match. Keep this in mind in your own matches. If you feel like you're really pumping up the stat numbers, you might need to take a closer look at your gameplay because oftentimes stats don't carry over to wins. Let's take a deeper look. I don't really think the Orisa details matter too much, the whole purpose of this VOD, but let's just put it this way. We get an early pick. I like my positioning here. It's good cover. I like the high ground. I go for the javelin and the soldier. The Orisa surprises me. Ouch, that stinks. Okay, so I use my cooldown 1. I use my cooldown 2. But the problem, guys, is I've just walked out into the open. I did not transition quickly or transition well from cover to cover. In fact, you could have made a good argument that actually staying here with my cooldowns and trusting my Kiriko Mercy to help me out would have made a lot more sense. So let's find out what happens. I'm going to die. We're up 2. Keep in mind, guys, we're up 2. I'm going to die. I'm going to javelin Orisa. I'm going to cost my Kiriko her life, who, to be fair, messed this one up pretty badly. She should have TP'd, then Suzu'd, and then she also TP'd to the wrong target, and then she also used her ult and died with it. So big mistake on her end. But also, I baited her into that play and also killed myself. Now, you're going to notice something else as well. My pushing out here also got my Torb killed. So we were up 2. And we actually lost the fight because I just trolled the lobby. I just completely goofed my cover. We lost an unlosable fight in a situation where this was probably the match. This was, if we win this fight, it's pretty much over at that point in time, okay? So we lose our Ashe. I'm gonna go help my team control high ground. Now, I really should have continued to go help out my team control high ground, but I didn't. I went back and shot on cart, despite the fact that my supports were busy. Now, right now, why is my Kiriko not healing me? Well, let's find out why my Kiriko is not healing me. 1 shot, 2 shot, she's dead. Unlosable fight, right, guys? This is even. We have a respawn advantage. We have our supports. This should be good to go. Well, yours truly didn't play cover well. Had zero awareness of what his supports were doing. Didn't play slow and maybe even help kill this Sojourn. Instead, stood too far out in the open. Didn't have javelin spin because we were coming back from spawn. Actually, why did I not have my javelin spin? Were we just coming back from spawn? Yeah, I thought I was going to go top, and then I decided not to, which was a mistake. Wait too long to fortify until I'm already 1 HP because I didn't think I needed it, not knowing what was going on. And then die. Now, you're probably going, this guy sucks. What's going on? I am showing you the worst of my fights, the fights that we specifically lost that I contributed to. Not every fight that we lost was my fault. But we've now lost 2 fights where I can legitimately point at my play and be like, I was the reason why we lost the fight. Either I died first or I caused somebody else to die first with my stupid decision. This isn't just, oh, I could have put out a little bit more pressure. This is, I actively screwed up. So we're coming back in a recontest here, okay? So recontest. So we're focusing backline. Javelin spin trying to touch. I have to fortify him low. Whoop, I missed my javelin on an Orisa. Would have been nice to have a javelin right now, do you guys think? This Moira and Sojourn? These aren't even particularly hard. These guys die if I hit the javelin, if I have the javelin. Okay, so we're back shooting the Orisa. All I can really shoot right now. I spin her out to kind of protect myself. Hit the javelin, okay. Playing cover, playing cover, playing cover, playing cover. Shooting a little bit of backline. Unfortunately, I get naded. Now we're Kiriko ulting. I'm low, I'm low, I'm low. Why am I javelining a full HP Orisa instead of looking to cancel this Coalescence or even hit this Ana? Surely that won't come back to bite me, will it? Putting a little bit of attention on the Sojourn, which is good. Another full HP Orisa, even though there's an Ana here, right? Surely this 60 damage, actually it's less than 60 with a 30% damage reduction. Surely this 42 damage will mean something, right guys? Uh-oh. Wow, how did that Orisa kill my Sojourn? Fortify late here. I should have fortified earlier while I was still in armor threshold. Another javelin on an Orisa instead of, trying to kill either one of these targets who would have died if they'd been javelined. And so this is a great example of where maybe it wasn't any one individual mistake, but all I was a damage sponge. I didn't actually put any significant pressure on squishies or backline. I didn't cycle my cooldowns well, and I didn't even attempt to hit any sort of an impactful javelin on many of the squishies that were presenting themselves. So we lose this fight. So now we've come out of defense where I was absolutely dominating the fights that we were winning, murdering everybody, playing really smart. But then at really just 3 fights, two of which would have held us on second, and a third of which would have meant we would have held before they capped, where I just mess up I completely troll the lobby. Okay, and we're gonna continue. We're gonna go ahead and skip ahead to. So I play pretty darn well. I'm smoking on first and second. That's me, right? I'm carrying. I'm doing amazing. Their tank is getting destroyed, but then this happens. So my Hanzo messes up here and almost dies. So I javelin spin their Orisa back, trying to keep him alive. Okay, not the end of the world. All right. Now we're going to Kiriko and Visor in. Our soldier runs in way too aggressively and ends up dying. Unfortunate. Nice javelin. Doesn't end up working out. Fortify because I'm in here. But question, why am I javelin spinning? Now, my soldier's already dead. I can't protect him anymore. And I'm in the middle of fortification. And in fact, this doesn't make any sense at all. Why would I not just be shooting the soldier while fortified? I shouldn't. I'm in armor. I'm in fortification. I don't need javelin spin. This is okay. This fight is actually still very, very winnable. But what happens? I'm going to javelin spin. I'm going to javelin forward. I have no cover. I have no cooldowns. My fortify is down. My javelin spin is down. And I'm standing out in the middle of the open. And what happens is, to their poor Orisa, she gets slept, and she's in Kiriko ult, so she's going to die immediately, okay? And we're in very winnable fight, right, guys? Well, no. Yours truly goes flying in with the javelin spin, when all he really needed to do was sit here, shoot the Sojourn, and then either javelin spin or just stand near cover and kill the sleeping Orisa, and we win the fight. Not what happened. Once again, we have a fight that is completely decided by the fact that I died. Maybe not first, but my death was what confirmed the fight being over. So we end up capping eventually. I play really well the last couple of fights. We end up capping off of my back. I'm the greatest in the history of the world. Well done. Now, let's take a look at this chain, because this is really where it gets disastrous. Doing fine, holding the corner. That javelin makes a lot of sense. She hits up against the wall. She's right in front of my DPS, so she ends up getting a lot of damage taken. Bam, she has to use her javelin to spin. I'm not using anything. This is great to me. Okay, I'm not going to javelin spin back. And there's the fortify, and I hear something behind me. I'm like, uh-oh, DPS. I'm going to walk forward to my javelin to clear them out. Totally fine. But I'm going to walk a little too far. And this is where, once again, cover is a problem, because this costs me my fortify and my spin. And I really overstay my welcome here as well. So now I'm overstaying my welcome, I'm down in HP, and a cooldown advantage that I had on the Orisa is now gone. I really should still have my fortify here. Alright, so I'm going to walk back, but that's not the end of the world. It's not just that. because I see an opportunity. Oh no, they're pushing. Still okay. This is the easiest javelin in the history of the world. If this Orisa is hit, she's dead. Immediately dead, and this fight is won. And if this fight is won, we full hold, and this becomes either drawable or winnable. After all of the fights that I've trolled up until this point, all I have to do is hit a javelin on an Orisa directly in front of me, or even the Moira, because the Moira would have faded away and allowed us to solo out the Orisa, and miss it. Our Torb's running forward to get the kill because the Orisa's 1 HP. And I'm unable to finish the kill because I can't hit a javelin on Orisa right in front of me. Now, all of this to be said, I had phenomenal stat lines this game. I had, again, the damage, the eliminations, really high. My deaths were really, really low. But as you've seen, the deaths that I did have were fight deciding. It wasn't just, oh, we lost the fight and I died on card, or I got picked off, but it was crazy. I just fed. I just straight up fed. And then when it came to some of the things like my cooldown usage or my javelins, when I messed them up in such a way, not that we had a slight disadvantage, but I messed them up in a way to where we either just straight up died because I messed them up, or we'd have to use an ultimate to save me. So this is not so much about Orisa coaching, so much it is a moment of self-reflection. In that while the stat system does tell you something, and I think deaths is probably a stat that continues to be very, very relevant, it doesn't tell you everything. You have to be really attentive to the type of stats that you're farming up and ask yourself, am I still, are there things that I can still be doing better? Because as you saw here, I did everything right to farm up delightful stats in the fights between, but when push came to shove, I was the reason why we lost at least half a dozen fights. And not just half a dozen fights, but half a dozen crucial fights that cost us the match. Now, it's something that can be very difficult as just a normal player, gold, plat, masters, to really know. What do I look at here? What do I learn from this? Well, here's what you learn from this. You don't have to be a coach guy like me with the knowledge of being able to self-VOD review yourself and go back and find out what your mistakes are. What you can do, though, is have the humility that if I'm on a loss streak or if I'm farming up great stats and I'm still losing, it's not necessarily something wrong with my teammates, but there's probably something in my gameplay that's costing us fights in a way that's not reflecting itself on the stats. Are you dying first, right? Maybe my only deaths are when I'm dying first and costing us the entire team fight. Not all deaths are alike. Am I playing so passively in a way to only heal my tank and damage the enemy tank, and I'm not actually contributing anything to control off angles or help my DPS or win duels or get picks? Maybe damage mitigated, like I'm playing Diva and I have 50,000 damage mitigated, but that's because I'm just sitting in main and just matrixing and taking damage and matrixing and taking damage. There's not a healing received stat either. So maybe the reason why my stats are so high is because I play so aggressive that I take resources away from my DPS. Not really sure. But point being, guys, stats don't tell the entire story. You really have to look into your own gameplay, find things that you need to be doing better. And I think the takeaway that I have from looking at my notes is that, gosh darn it, I need to start javelin squishies when I get the opportunity, and I really need to be careful about my cover usage and whether my supports can support me or not. I'm feeding way too much with just a little bit of lack of corner discipline and using cooldowns for the sake of using cooldowns. So that's what I need to do. What do you need to do? Now, I have a lot of educational content in this channel to figure out just exactly what that is, but I also do think that you need to do a little bit of your own research into your own replay codes and see if you can find out why that game where you felt like you carried, you just still lost. Bad luck is a thing, but stats certainly don't tell the entire story. Hope you found this one educational. If you do have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and good luck.